Hello, everybody, and welcome to the ERSCA Belly Up Sports Series Chairgatin 220 from Daytona International Speedway. I'm Dom Santina alongside David Westergreen, and as always, Carlos Acosta bringing us the production side of things in the booth and 3Wide TV. David, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, Dom. Ready for some Daytona action to close off the regular season. The point scenario is a little wild. We've got about 8 or 9 drivers on the bubble, with eligibility to get into the chase. It's going to be a crazy night, I think, overall, and Daytona is just going to accent that with the restrictor plates and the nature of the randomness that is restrictor plate racing on iRacing.
Absolutely. It has all the aspects to turn into a very eventful night for a ton of guys here at Daytona. We went through kind of some of the scenarios pre-race in our pre-race meeting with Johnny Thomas, and there's a chance that it could get absolutely crazy. But we'll just see how it goes down throughout the rest of the night. As they're still in practice, getting ready to go to qualifying, I believe.
Let me present a scenario to both you guys and the viewer. Both of our defending champions of ERSCA, the 2020 champ Nick Massey and the 2021 champ Ryan Lutz, could miss the chase this season based on the current point standings.
So it would mean it would be an absolute lock. We would have a new champion here in 2022. We'll see if one of those two can sneak their way in here when it's all said and done tonight. Both going to have solid runs to accomplish that here at Daytona.
Now, I want to point out you'll see some different paint schemes than you'll usually see tonight. It was announced that it would be the patriotic throwback race tonight for Daytona for the Chairgatin 200. So what you'll see is a lot of throwback cars, a lot of stars and stripes, patriotic race, almost a July 4th event, given that next Monday is July 4th, and I believe we won't be broadcasting. And that's correct, yeah. So we will be off next week to break, prepare for the chase start. So I know a couple of off weeks here and there, but that's just ramping up the excitement for Daytona.
Absolutely. These guys know it's their last chance to get in, have a shot at winning that championship.
Yep. And I think it's going to be kind of an all-out brawl, especially for those halfway points in the middle of the race. We're going to have to keep our eye on these drivers as they position themselves within the pack in order to go get those 10 bonus points at halfway. That could be absolutely huge for a guy like Matthew Bayuk, who does not have a win yet, but is the strongest, not locked in driver in the chase currently. But he doesn't want to lose those points, so he needs to be very smart with, positioning himself to grab as many points as he can at that halfway stage to give himself even more of a cushion if he gets caught up in a wreck later in the race.
So I think you might see a couple different strategies here early on. Those guys that find themselves locked in already, ready to go, maybe laying low for a little bit, while these guys that have a lot to lose here tonight are going to be at it right off the start.
Yeah, I think you'll see some guys taking absolutely every risk and every chance going to the front. Guys who have nothing to lose, like Damian Leininger, who's pretty far out on points, but mathematically he can get in, but he's going to be going for the win because a win would almost guarantee him a chance at the berth in the playoffs. One quick update, though, is that we have 4 drivers on the cusp of making the playoffs with a race win. That is Ryan Lutz, Hank Steinmiller, Scott Crump, and Jared Mogard. Here's Mogard on track right now. The 4 of them are battling essentially to win that second race. If they can take that second victory, they would lock themselves into that 11th spot regardless of points. They also could point their way into the top 10. I don't believe that Crump can, but I know Lutz, Steinmiller, and Mogard can. And that would open up more spots for guys to get wins. The 2 names on here that are mathematically eligible that you are not seeing are Damian Leininger, who's about 35 points out, and Josh Clark, who's about 42, 43 points out. So Clark would need to have a max points night in order to get his way into the playoff conversation. But mathematically, I think anybody can make that 12th spot if they win tonight, and then Lutz, Steinmiller, and Mogard all pass Seth Rawls, Whitley, and Matthew Weeks to get in. it's a complicated scenario for sure. Daytona's a very simple qualifying lap, as we'll take a watch of all our drivers going around.
Looks like Dallas Myhan, Jared Mogard on track right now.
Here's one of our throwback cars, Damian Leininger throwing back to the NOS Kyle Busch car from the 2010-ish Xfinity days when he smashed the guitar at Nashville. He told me I had to say that. Ryan Lutz in the 36. You'll have to watch this car, because if Ryan Lutz falls behind two of the race winners and doesn't point his way in, he would miss the playoffs and miss his opportunity to defend for the championship. So a very tense night for Ryan Lutz in that 36 car. Kendall Noah player, you might recognize this car. 2007 Dale Earnhardt Jr. throwback. We got Vincent Isabella in the Michael Waltrip 2001 car. I think there's two Michael Waltrip cars out there, actually. But this one, very nice. I think there's three Michael Waltrip cars. Here's another one, Michael Goodman in the 30 car. Back when I think Michael drove this in the Busch Series. The other one would be Dylan Thomas in the 03. He has a patriotic Michael Waltrip car from when he won the Pepsi 400. There it is. A lot of Michael Waltrip out there tonight. James Heater didn't bring a throwback, it appears. Carlos's favorite, Mark Whitley, the 2010 Jeff Gordon throwback, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. I like all of the Shift Esports Fords. They are all running variants of Roush Fenway patriotic cars over the years. There's your current leader for the pole, Cameron Rich. Joe Francis second, and Joe Francis is on the cusp of making it into the playoffs. That's a guy that I would not count out at these plate tracks. He has an ERSCA win at Talladega, and that's a guy who can absolutely get it done here. Points leader Kwame Scott, who has wrapped up the regular season championship. And then we have a new first man on pole, Matthew Bayuk, top of the board. A monster qualifying effort from the 29, and he's going to need that tonight. Oh, there's the man. JT, P2. A couple more guys out there on track. That one's been that way all season, Carlos. The Kodak throwback. Yeah. Aaron Turner in the Kodak 4 throwback. Delicato has put his lap down. And Delicato is locked into the playoffs, as is Kwame Scott, Ethan Burrell, and Tate Lytle might be. Tate Lytle actually might not be. I believe it's Cameron Rich who's locked into the playoffs. Tate Lytle is not mathematically locked in. Kyle Hanshaw on the board. Scott Crump is fifth. The second win would pretty much lock him into the playoffs. On the top of your screen, you will see guys in green. Those are the guys that are currently in the chase. The guys in red, currently out. And Matthew Bayuk wins the pole.
Gives him a good starting spot. Pretty comfortable here in the point standings, but make it interesting as we look through the list. One very big surprise, Johnny Thomas, as we mentioned, sitting there in second. Cam Rich starting third. Scott Crump getting a good starting spot in fifth. Josh Adams will start in ninth. Campbell in 10th. Seth Rolls 12th. Campbell on the left side.
Josh Adams told me before the race he's out here going for wins. He wants to win this race tonight. He's going to be one of those aggressive drivers with nothing to lose, pushing really hard. We look through the rest of the top 24 here.
Burrell will start 14th and Delicato 15th. Whitley 16th. Leininger 17th. Garion Turner 18th. Steinmiller 19th. Weeks 20th.
Little secret about Hank Steinmiller, he almost always drives off the back of the field. He is the Dale Jarrett of iRacing that I know. He likes to run in the back, let everybody wreck in front of him, and then come to the front near the end of the race.
Two of your defending champions will have close starting spots as well. It looks about 26th and 28th for Nick Massey and Ryan Lutz.
Nate Lytle also back there. He's going to need to not get an early crash and a wreck in order to keep that 56 in contention for the points. As we look back at the rest of the cars, Kwame Scott, 38th. I mean, when you've got the regular season championship locked up, you certainly don't need to go out and do anything at Daytona. Kwame maybe just trying to take it easy and lock in another good finish. Austin Beers there in 33rd, or 32nd. I think you'll see him be pretty aggressive here tonight. He and Vincent Isabella, pretty good friends in real life. They might work together a good bit. And I think we'll see Dylan Thomas be pretty aggressive in 35th as well. Those Michael Waltrip cars starting nose to tail there. All right, so who's our picks for tonight? Dom, I'll let you go first.
I'm going to take a guess. Why not go with the pole sitter? I'll go with Bayou.
Very nice. I'm going to go with the guy who's not in the playoff hunt. I'm going to go with Zishan Dura. He's always pretty good at these plate tracks. Just have a hunch that old Zishan's going to be in there pretty good.
I'm going to go with my I'm going to go with my favorite paint scheme of the night and go with Whitley tonight.
Mark Whitley. Carlos not going Cameron Ridge, who's starting third, mind you. Although at Daytona, I don't think starting spot matters all that much. All right, another quick question for you, Dom. Who's your favorite paint scheme of the night?
I'm going to have to get back to you on that. I got to look through these cars a little bit more, and I'll let you know. Maybe mid-race or so.
Gotcha. I'm not sure I have a favorite just yet. There's a lot of good ones. I'm partial to those Michael Waltrip schemes, though, that we rolled through. Matthew Bayou's running, I believe, Carl Edwards, maybe, from the early 2010s when Roush Fenway was doing a whole lot of those patriotic schemes. He and his Shifty Sports buddies all going to have some variant of Carl Edwards, Matt Kenseth, Greg Biffle. Patriotic colors. Pace car is off and away we go. Matthew Bayou on the gas, as well as Johnny Thomas in the 83. I think the outside lane is going to be the preferred lane here at Daytona. These Xfinity cars wind it up. They get up to speed pretty well. You can really push on each other. You can even run 3 wide, but it'll be real tight. They'll probably save that for later in the race.
It'll be interesting to see who's going to lead it back to the line. Thomas and Bayou side by side down the backstretch here. Top line getting just a little bit better of a run.
But what you'll notice is in the corners, the inside lane will pull forward. That'll be the preferred lane in the corners, and then on these long straightaways, the outside lane will wind up that extra energy and flash past. But here on the bottom, I think Matthew Bayou is going to hold off Johnny Thomas and pick up an important point towards the playoffs. Matthew Bayou leads lap 1.
Bayou came in with a pretty comfortable lead in the points already. An extra 2 points there pretty much solidifies his spot in the playoffs.
Just about the first 10 or so cars are really pushing. Everybody else seems to be minding their P's and Q's through the middle of to the back of the pack. Everybody's not really pushed up against each other. They are taking their time, being very patient. But this front 10, they are kind of pushing on each other. And one thing to watch out for, you can blow the motor in these Xfinity cars rather easily if you push too close too long.
One of the cars to watch out for is that third car on the bottom line right now. That is Scott Crump, right behind Cameron Rich as we go on board with him. He is the top guy running, well, I guess Joe Francis now on the high side, but Crump is one of those guys with one win, and he can get in pretty solidly. So keep an eye on that 51 car, third one on the bottom right now.
Yep. But the energy staying with the bottom lane for the most part, though. Johnny Thomas is going to have a big run down the back straightaway this time. He might clear Matthew Bayuk for the lead-in. Does. He drops in front of the 29.
Put Joe Francis to the high side now. He'll be the first car on the top line.
Yep. And Francis knows how to win these plate races. He's one of those guys who I definitely considered picking. He's a wily old plate racer, loves to run these cars, and I'm a little surprised Matthew Bayou didn't jump to the top lane. One of the ways you can kind of stay at the front of this field is once you get passed for the lead on the bottom, you can jump to the top and become the first car in the outside lane, and then Bayou and Johnny Thomas could swap the lead back and forth, and you'd really see, you know, two guys kind of dominating in the race and holding serve until that third lane forms eventually.
Good showing here for Johnny out front, leading a couple laps.
A little bit squirrely there is Bayou getting behind Johnny Thomas, and that's one of those reasons that I would want to be leading one of these lanes, tucked up behind somebody. Not only will your car potentially run hot, but you get a little squirrely when you're trying to follow in the tire tracks of someone that you can't predict their every move, don't exactly know where they're going lap in, lap out. Whereas when you're leading that line, you can control the lane behind you and you know, keep everybody in line and run your line going through these corners, because there is a difference whether Joe Francis runs a little bit higher, a little bit more pinched down onto Johnny Thomas as to whether or not that lane can pick up steam and pick up momentum. Francis does pull alongside Johnny Thomas. Joe Francis will need to probably win the race in order to make it into the playoffs, but he's not too far back in points. Only about 25 points separate him from 12th right now.
Giving himself his best shot right now, running up towards the front of the pack and running side by side, contending for the race lead.
Yep, guys kind of checking to see who started to march forward. Trey Holmes up to 4th from 10th in the number 24 car. He's the second one on the outside lane. Ethan Burrell is up to 6th from 14th.
I just saw there on the bottom, Massey and Lutz not really making up too much room. They're in 25th and 28th, I believe, at the moment.
Yeah, a couple of guys have fallen off the pack completely. Damian Leininger has fallen way off the back of the field. Not sure if that's a calculated move or not. I'm assuming it's not a calculated move to lose this draft. 12 car way out the back. Trey Holmes has taken the lead at the line. Joe Francis ducked in front of Johnny Thomas. And then Trey Holmes and Ethan Burrell shot around the outsides. Now Holmes and Burrell lead the lines, and the outside lane is the preferred line. That's the one that's moving. I'm not sure why these guys keep moving to the bottom. I would probably try to stay in that middle line, keep leading it, because the middle line seems to be the fast way around.
Ethan Burrell now searching for the race lead, has it down the backstretch. He'll drop down in front of Holmes. Burrell looking for a big 2 points here as he comes to lead a lap.
We'll get Josh Adams the outside lane. Chris Worrell in behind him. Johnny Thomas, you saw him flash to the middle of the racetrack. Johnny Thomas looking for that track position. Don't want to be stuck on the bottom. You really want to be in that outside lane as Josh Adams, Chris Worrell, Johnny Thomas, now they're the three in the top groove. Nicky Delicato's behind them. He's another guy I think to watch out for. Absolutely nothing to lose today. Locked into the playoffs. Unable to go out and get that regular season championship. So that 0-1 car is, in all likelihood, hunting a trophy tonight.
Ethan Burrell, another car that's completely locked in on points, sitting 5th in the standings right now. So kind of be in the same boat, just looking to take a win here tonight.
I'm not sure what happened to Damian Leininger. He just jumped sideways and jumped to the apron down the back straightaway on lap 3. I couldn't tell you what happened to him there, but that's what cost him the draft. I had to go look for it, see, because that's definitely not a calculated move by that 12 car. He needs to win this race. Anyway, Ethan Burrell up front. Adams has not been able to clear him just yet. Couple of guys moving through the field. Tate Lytle up to 12th from 30th. Andy Trupiano is up to 18th from 39th. It's very easy to make up spots in this in this type of racing. Daytona, you can always make up spots in the mid to the back of the field. The kind of inverse of some of these guys moving forward, Ty McIntosh in the one Shift Esports car has dropped from 8th to 37th. Josh Adams has cleared for the lead. That gives the outside lane to Chris Worrell.
Quite a few lead changes here early in this one. Worrell trying to get the run on Adams.
Got to help from Johnny Thomas. Johnny, remember, jumped to the outside lane kind of aggressively when that outside lane wasn't so formed up. And in doing so has given himself a great shot to be able to maintain that track position. You know, we've seen Matthew Bayuk. He's all the way down in 8th now. He's fifth car on the inside lane. At 29, the pole sitter led early on, but didn't jump up to the outside when he could. And now he's trapped down there. A couple more guys starting to move forward here. Dylan Thomas in the 03, Michael Goodman in the 30 car. You'll see them up in the outside lane in the colorful Michael Waltrip throwbacks. They're alongside Scott Crump, who started 5th. Goodman started 21st. Thomas started 35th. 3 wide mid-pack. Kwame Scott has decided it's time to go. Another guy who started way in the back, trying to make his way up to the front. Definitely no patience from the regular season champion.
Tate Lytle's made his way into the top 10, sitting in that 10th position now. He's locked in.
It's not working out for Kwame Scott there. Michael Goodman kind of rode to the top, then dropped back to the middle, and Jared Rexing went around Kwame Scott. Dylan Thomas has now been shoved up there as well. Definitely getting racy here in the mid-pack. Jared Rexing's, I think, going to go to the middle and get around Daniel Martinez. That's an aggressive move by Jared Rexing. Goodman to the top. They're really trying to form 3 lanes here in this middle group. It's all right behind Tate Lytle, right behind Cameron Rich. And they're coming up on Robert Hill to lap him already. The pack just going so much faster than those single cars. Damian Leininger's not far ahead of Hill. And we'll go a lot down shortly. It's a good thing they shuffled out that 3 wide racing. Johnny Thomas hasn't pushed Chris Worrell around Josh Adams yet. We've seen that kind of outside lane pushes forward, shuffles down, pushes forward, shuffles down. Well, Adams has led like the last 3 or 4 laps. I do wonder if there's maybe something there. Maybe Johnny Thomas running a little bit hot, can't really get close to the back bumper of the 06 and push him by Josh Adams.
Top lines, actually both lines kind of broken up here a little bit. Now you got a 3-car pack, nose to tail there on the bottom line, and then behind them they're trying to get it formed up again. Just formed up maybe just a touch better than what that top line is at the moment.
Formed up, but Kwame Scott still taking him 3 wide back in the mid-pack. He jumped to the outside of Andy Trupiano. And he's going to stay up there. I don't know if it's going to work out for him, but you know, eventually these guys are going to form up that 3rd lane, and when that happens, things can get pretty spectacular. Here goes Johnny Thomas looking to the outside of Chris Worrell. He'll think better of it, tuck back in line. Here comes Rexing in the middle on Tate Lytle. And Hanshaw. Rexing got them both. Jared Rexing using the old Dale Earnhardt maneuver, going up through the middle. Rexing has come from 34th to 12th. And Rexing needs to win. He needs to win, and he needs some of those guys with race wins to have bad luck tonight. he is being understandably aggressive, and he's fought his way into the top 10 now in 7th. And Worrell, I think, led that lap. So the outside lane starting to move up there a little bit. Usually about 30 or so laps until pit stops in general. So 30 to 34, you'll see these guys come down pit road for the first time. I think they'll be taking fuel only, no tires. Minimize that time in the pit box.
Will you kind of see a group that comes through at the same time, or kind of maybe teammates try to plan to go at the same time?
Absolutely. I think you have to pit with people. You saw what you can see is we're probably coming up to lap Damian Leininger. You can see what's going to happen to guys who end up out there by themselves. You'll go a lap down real fast. You'll lose that draft, and you lose time to the leaders. So you have to come down with some teammates. What'll happen, though, is the field will break into a couple of parts, and I think the best play usually is to be that first group down pit road. You can dictate, the way the field reacts. Then, the run isn't nearly as great because there aren't as many cars in the field, and then your group can get, wound up first and go streaming around everybody who's coming off pit road. That being said, it doesn't always work out that way. You got to be very careful entering pit road. Don't speed. Got to get in your box clean. Got to have everybody on that same strategy, because if you have somebody take tires, you'll run low on cars and you'll split the field up. So, we have a bunch of big groups of teammates. We got Apex Sim Racing with 7 or 8 cars in the group chat. We got Shift Esports with 5 or 6 cars in the group chat. We got Pro Edge Racing and Fueled Up Racing who always work together. You'll see some of those big groups of teammates work together and come down pit road all at once. Also, Aggressive Eagle Esport, that's where Jared Rexing and I believe, probably not Josh Adams, but you've got Gerald Campbell in there, Joe Francis, those guys will all work together. Zishan Dura. You got Rubbins Racing with Josh Adams, Nick Massey, Kwame Scott, those guys will all work together. Right now, Adams has been in control of this race. Ethan Burrell has worked his way up and is just chilling in second. And there has not been nearly as much shuffling as there was early in the event. Now it seems like everyone has kind of settled down and is trying to log laps and get towards the first pit stop in this race.
Yeah, so I was looking as we come towards a quarter of the way being done here, kind of through the playoff situation. Lutz currently sits in 21st position. Scott Crump's 14th. Jared Mogard is in 15th. Steinmiller and Massey are in 32nd and 34th, and Clark is in 26th. So a couple of those guys hanging back a little bit, but Crump and Mogard on the move towards the top 10.
Yep. There's definitely some separating strategies, but Josh Adams, with such an abysmal start to this season, he's not somebody who I think expects to be in this position. I think if Adams wins the race, he might actually get into the chase. Now, he might not have started enough races to qualify. That would still require some of those guys who do have wins and more points than him to make their way into the chase and into the point their way in. But the outside shot of Adams, Worrell, Johnny Thomas, all these guys need a win, and they need some luck to happen their way. All those guys, like you said, not really running at the front of the field. Most of the top 10 is either green or not one of the guys in the bubble. The outside lane fading a little bit. I wonder if Ethan Burrell doesn't try to jump up to the top lane here at some point and clear up to Chris Worrell and see if the 06 can give him a push around Josh Adams. You talked about Ryan Lutz, and as soon as you said his name, I saw his name start picking up positions. I saw him cut from the top to the bottom. 36 car starting to move forward, I think, in preparation for these green flag pit stops. and the guy who's drafting him right now is Austin Beers. Those are technically team cars, because Beers is kind of an offshoot of the Apex Sim Racing label, and he's pushing that 36 car right through the field. All right, let's go into the middle.
He's trying to find somewhere to go here, pick up some spots. He's cracked the top 20. Looking for more.
Yep, let's trying to get his way up to the top group here, trying to just be able to pit with the leaders. This is a pretty common strategy, you know, hang back, let those first couple of laps sort themselves out. And right now, that Apex group with Lutz, Beers, Michael Goodman, Vincent Isabella, Dylan Thomas, they're all lined up on that outside lane. I wouldn't doubt if they just, you know, kind of follow Lutz wherever he goes. Lutz is looking high on Scott Crump there for 3 wide for about 10th, 12th spot.
Right now, Ryan Lutz has got to be feeling pretty comfortable knowing he's got a lot of help behind him.
Yeah, but the only thing is that that's not a comfortable place to be on track. As Chris Worrell clears down, they are 3 wide to the top, and they're trying to wind up that 3rd lane. Scott Crump in front of Lutz, in front of Beers. They're trying to get it going while Worrell leads now Josh Adams with Johnny Thomas on the inside lane. All that stacking has allowed that outside lane to form. 3 wide at Daytona. Nick Indelicato in second on the outside lane now. He has not pushed Johnny Thomas quite as effectively as Johnny had pushed Worrell to the lead. Jared Rexing now 3rd in line on the in the middle lane now. He's been moving forward the entire race. And now we're seeing the climb of Scott Crump, Ryan Lutz, and Austin Beers. They're picking up spots every single time they go down the back straightaway. Lutz now cuts to the middle. He'll abandon Scott Crump. And he'll go for that middle lane. Might want to lead that top lane, does Ryan Lutz. Crump also abandons that top lane, which kind of hangs Austin Beers and Cameron Rich out to dry up there. Another guy working his way through the field I'm taking notice of, Vincent Isabella. He's up to the back end of this pack. He's right alongside pole sitter Matthew Bayuk. Right behind Andy Trupiano there at the back of this field. Johnny Thomas leading that outside lane. He'll try to get this lead again, and down the back straightaway, he's got it. All throughout the field, guys. Oh, here comes Jared Rexing on Indelicato. Almost had a moment there for 3rd place. That's usually where the crashes occur, is somebody goes for a hole that closes up pretty quickly. Indelicato was on it, though, and did not cause the big crash. Worrell leads the lap. He and Thomas now side by side after working together on the outside lane. Defending champ Ryan Lutz just went from about 20th in the field all the way up to 8th. Within us talking about him being kind of far back in the field. It was all in a span of about 2 or 3 laps. Vincent Isabella just made a 3 wide move, as well as Austin Beers. They picked up another couple of spots, moved them to 13th and 15th. It's interesting, and I don't know if we'll get a chance to see the wide shot here, but I think you saw it right there. The field right now is about 10 rows of 2 wide, and then it's a single file train all the way back to Kendall Noah Player in 38. These guys are prepped for pit stops. They are not trying to wreck these cars before they get a chance to get on pit road. At least everyone from about 15th on back.
Guys up here in the top 20 or 15th, top 15 spots, though, ready to race it out here towards the halfway point.
Yeah, this is just positioning, right? You know pit stops are coming. So really all this is trying to get yourself in the safest and best position possible to get through pit stops. Keeping your car safe is priority number 1 for probably 65% of these guys. The other 35% just want to lead every lap, win the race, right? But you'll see those aggressive moves, but you'll also see some of these calculated moves. I think Ryan Lutz is charge to the front was very calculated. He knows pit stops are on their way. He wants to be as close to the front as possible during pit stops because then that'll allow him to pit as close to the lead as possible and potentially come out with the lead if his pit stop is good enough. Austin Beers goes to the high side. He'll go around Andy Trupiano. Matthew Bayuk up there pushing Austin Beers. But, you know, a guy like Ryan Lutz has run enough of these plate races. He knows that, you know, the skill that we've seen Ryan Lutz display in these Xfinity cars, throw it out the window. It's all about this plate racing. It's more of a chess game than it is about a race. You've got to be in the right position. You've got to have the right strategy. And also, you've got to get a little bit lucky. Beers has been abandoned by his group up there. He'll now cut down in front of Bayuk. Bayuk gives him a little bit of space. And the outside lane stacks up again as guys continue to try to go to that outside and create that third lane, but it seems like it requires a lot of dedication from more than just 2 or 3 cars in order to wind that thing up and get it going. The line, I think Johnny Thomas is going to lead this lap. Yes, indeed. By 1/100th of a second over Worrell. Starting to see the pushes get a little bit more intense here as we get towards that halfway point, but there is a pit stop before the halfway point. Let's remember. Johnny Thomas down the back does have that advantage. He might cut to the bottom here, and he does. Johnny Thomas to the race lead, fully clear of Chris Worrell and Nick Indelicato.
Very strong run here in the first half of this race for Johnny Thomas.
I'll tell you what, I've seen Johnny Thomas win plate races in other series. He's won a Elite Daytona 500. He's got an ERSCA win here at Daytona. This guy knows how to get around this racetrack. Just like that, it opened up Jared Rexing to be able to shove Nick Indelicato forward, and Ryan Lutz is up behind Jared Rexing, and they have got that outside lane really squirrely, but it's moving pretty quickly. Down the back straightaway, though, it doesn't seem like that run has mounted to anything, and Johnny Thomas has Chris Worrell attached to his bumper. Worrell's going to need to be careful, though. That can blow up your motor really fast.
If I remember right, I think Johnny ran really well to start the season here and was in contention for a win when we started 2022.
Chris Worrell just about got hooked by Nick Indelicato. He jumped up to the outside to become that first car in the outside lane, and Indelicato gave him a little shot, and it turned the 06 sideways. Dom, you're absolutely right. Johnny was leading with 2 laps to go, but he was on older tires. We were running the COT, and Johnny could not hold off the fresher tires. Do believe finished. Oh, we got wrecked. Lutz is involved. Rexing involved. Vincent Isabella's involved. We're going to get a caution. Big wreck on the back straightaway. Matthew Weeks spun. I don't know if he hit anything. Dylan Thomas is involved. Ryan Lutz is involved in that wreck. Rexing was involved in it. That'll about seal up the 07's fate of not being in the playoffs. And what a strange wreck that was.
I think it started up front with Johnny. Johnny came down onto the apron, came back up, and I think there was a slight little con on that.
Wow. What a strange wreck. Bayuk spins. He's going to have some damage. My goodness. Vincent Isabella cuts to the apron, but that's just not enough, and he hooks together with Bayuk. He's going to get hit in the door by Dylan Thomas. That is crazy. What a strange wreck. Why did Johnny's car move like that? I think Johnny was getting hit. Look, kind of through back of the field here. Bayuk did get hit pretty hard. That 29 car might be in trouble. Now, if there's anything I know about Daytona, it's that you absolutely must keep trying if your car can drive. You must. Yo, it was Josh Adams. Josh Adams gave a bump to the 83 and sent him to the apron there. The slightest mid-corner bump draft gone wrong between Adams and Thomas. And then Netcode hooked Adams up into Rexing. It got Lutz. It got Adams again. Bayuk, Vincent Isabella, and more. Pit stops. Morel and Delicato, Beers. Johnny Thomas is pretty much undamaged, so that works out for the 83 car.
This makes pit stops a lot less stressful for some guys out there.
And a lot more stressful for a guy like Matthew Bayou trying to figure out how much damage is on that 29 car and whether or not he can keep going. The pole sitter with that stroke of bad luck. Do I detect some pit strategy here? Nick Massey came out second from 15th. Nick Massey has decided not to hit, and he'll have to come back and do it again. I did get a request from Austin Beers. Yeah, he has not decided necessarily, but he and Harrison Talon will have to come back down pit road and put fuel in those cars. Jared Rexing has disconnected from the server. I got Austin Beers requesting a replay from his in-car for onboard. Because he was in the middle of that, but kind of drove through on the banking and didn't ever really get hit by anything. Quick rundown off pit road there. It's Chris Worrell, the leader. Nick Delicato in second. Here it is. Austin Beers cuts through the middle. Red Seas parted for Austin Beers. Oof. I'll tell you what, if you get a 100 wrecks at Daytona, someone's going to come across and block that middle lane, and you won't be able to do that. You know who this is who benefits maybe the most from this wreck? Was Damian Leininger. He will get back in the lead lap. Yeah, likely all those damaged cars, I presume. Just remember, we're about 4 laps from the halfway point as well. And it's you probably can't. I would go ahead and say they can't make it the rest of the way. Good, he's got some damage on the 30 car. Mark Whitley. Bunch of guys come back down pit road. Big help there was this caution for the likes of Robert Hill and Damian Leininger. They will get back on the lead lap. The only car retiring from that wreck was Jared Rexing, though I envision Josh Adams, Ryan Lutz, a couple of other guys are going to have Matthew Bayuk. Guys are going to have some big damage, and they're going to be really hopeful that this race ends up being a caution fest. Lutz actually just didn't fix the damage and is going to restart 4th. I can't envision that's going to go well for the 32nd car. I think that thing has some pretty significant right side damage on it, but maybe it's all right. All right, here we go. Pace car is off. I don't believe the whole field is caught quite up yet. Regardless, Chris Worrell going green. He'll be alongside with Delicato. Lutz and Thomas will be pushing them. And then Beers and get Cameron Rich. Or Tate Lytle, sorry. Rich is 7th. Garen Turner is 8th. I would look for Hank Steinmiller in the 63 car there on the bottom lane to drop out of line and head to the back once again. We'll see, though. He might decide that it's time to go. With that halfway stage point in hand is Thomas to the outside. He'll be pushed by Tate Lytle.
Johnny has been maybe one of the more aggressive drivers so far in this one.
Lutz is in the pack here. Got some teammates around him. They're trying to get Lutz points is what's going on. Same for Dylan Thomas. Those guys are racing for points with damaged cars. They know they've only got to go a couple more laps here in the pack. You can see Lutz's car won't suck up to the back bumper of Nick Delicato. It's a 3-car train on the outside versus a lot more on the bottom. Worrell trying to kind of dominate this race as he's been able to do for a while now. Hank Steinmiller now the guy on the back bumper of Worrell. Steinmiller misses that wreck, gets no damage. His Dale Jarrett style approach to these restrictor plate tracks works once again.
Couple of guys that can use some big points right here. Lutz and Steinmiller.
Yep, huge for Hank Steinmiller to be able to get in here and acquire a few points to kind of separate himself from Ryan Lutz. Lutz is hanging on desperately to the top 10. He's back in 10th right now. I don't know if he'll be able to acquire any points here. 36 car just seems like it's way down on horsepower. Battle for this stage point will be pretty impressive. A couple of guys behind the two front runners that would probably much rather have those points between Tate Lytle and Hank Steinmiller. Johnny Thomas clears Worrell, drops to the bottom. It'll be between Tate Lytle and Johnny Thomas, I believe. Unless Chris Worrell can get up in front of Tate Lytle. Tate and Johnny both kind of running those stars and stripes paint schemes for the patriotic race tonight. 2 laps until the end of the stage. Remember, unlike real NASCAR, we don't throw a caution at the halfway point. We just award points. Here comes Worrell to the top of the track. He'll peek out on Johnny Thomas. Get that push from Tate Lytle. Hank Steinmiller to the back bumper of Thomas. Worrell gets the run, but Thomas will fight back on the inside. 3 wide in the middle of this pack. They'll be battling for points. Cameron Rich trying to get in there and get a few points, but it's not going to matter, I don't think, at that point. 1 lap to go in the stage. Worrell got the lead at the line. Tate Lytle's probably looking for a way around. Johnny Thomas clears through to Worrell on the inside. He might have it now. Thomas fully clear if Worrell might even try going to the top down the back straightaway. Nope, Johnny thinks better of it, just stays in front of Hank Steinmiller. Steinmiller doesn't clear Worrell. They'll be side by side through 3 and 4, but that inside lane is going to have the preferred groove through the corner. Beers to the outside of Vincent Isabella in the middle of the pack. Here we go out of 4. Does Tate Lytle try to make a move? Does Steinmiller try to make a move? As it is, they're pretty content. Johnny Thomas wins the half. Hank Steinmiller gets to 3rd. Big points for him, big points for Tate Lytle. And I don't think anybody else pretty much was kind of on the bubble there. Heater was 11th at the line. He does not get an additional point.
No, of the 7 guys we kind of mentioned pre-race, Steinmiller was the only one that got any points out of that. Lutz, Crump, Mogard, Massey, Leininger, and Clark. Nobody was even near.
Yeah, and then Hank Steinmiller, as soon as they hit the line there, Steinmiller on the back straightaway drops to the apron. He'll merge back into traffic with Cooper Johnson there, his teammate. Cooper's running the Brad Keselowski Miller, salute car. So a good run for him and a good place for Hank to drop in at. Tate Lytle now has the lead of this race. He picked up some points, and that'll rather essentially lock Tate into the playoff at this point.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's sitting in the 4th position.
Picked up a bunch of those extra points, and with Matthew Bayuk now hurting, we haven't seen much of Seth Rawls at all tonight, although that may be calculated on the part of Rawls. A lot of guys in the field got damage. It really reduced the amount that there is of cars left. Worrell clears Tate Lytle for the lead. Nick and Delicato now the first car on the outside. Austin Beers and Vincent Isabella pushing him. Worrell, Lytle, and Johnny Thomas there on the bottom. Johnny has kind of gotten overwhelmed since he led to the stage lap. And Delicato leads that time by. And just like that, and Delicato drops to the bottom. That'll open the top for Beers and Isabella. Remember, about 10 laps ago, Vincent Isabella was spun around getting hit in the door in that wreck. Seems like the damage of these cars not particularly horrific unless you kill the motor, which it seems like guys like Ryan Lutz and Bayuk have done. Beers going for the lead, pushed by Isabella.
Well, you talked about it, David. If you have any shot of continuing to run, you need to keep on it. Right now, Vincent Isabella is showing you the point.
And he's a very good pusher. Vincent's pushed me to the win at Talladega in these Xfinity cars. That guy can really get it done from that position. He's very, very good at pushing and pushing stably, where I think that's that's the kind of a skill that is a little bit lost in terms of whether or not you can push in that outside line without spinning that guy down to the bottom of the racetrack. Got Michael Waltrip up there working hard. Beers clears to the bottom. That'll allow Isabella to get that run on the outside. Help from Cameron Rich. Kyle Hanshaw has not really allowed them to get a good run. And here comes Indelicato at the top. He and Isabella have had some run-ins this season. Oh, Vincent gets into Indelicato. That sends Indelicato to the top. 3 wide for the lead. Worrell went to the bottom to avoid. And Rich goes with Indelicato. Beers lets Isabella drop down, and they'll just pretty much run it normal. No. Rich goes to the middle on Indelicato. Vincent Isabella leads. Rich is the first car on the outside. He'll be pushed by Hanshaw. And Beers and Isabella are now 1-2 on the bottom. Oh, man, that should have been a wreck, but it wasn't.
Absolutely. I was going to say that was a wreck waiting to happen, and good job by all the drivers here in ERSCA to keep that one under control and get them back side by side once again, battling for the race lead.
Yeah, Isabella is not the best of friends with Indelicato, and when he jumps up in front of you like that, Isabella wasn't going to, let off and give him a nice, effective tap. He was going to just blast him and hope for the best, and that's exactly what happened. He got him a little bit squirrely, got at the middle. What happened, and then everybody kind of around them realized, oh, there might be a wreck, and checked up. Isabella didn't, gets to the lead. That's just a sport, kind of a craftsmanship thing right there. Maybe if Beers had jumped up in front of Isabella, he might have been a little more gentle with that push, but because it was Indelicato, he knows, rival kind of guy I'm not going to cut any brakes to. Well, I'm not going to give him a effective push. I'm just going to give him whatever push he's going to get. Turned out that was a little too much to handle. Indelicato back to 8, but no harm, no foul. How about Kyle Hanshaw up here in 4th with a realistic chance at winning this race? Hanshaw has had a bit of a struggling season. But a little bit, we'll have to see if Hanshaw can maybe make it happen tonight. Seems like he is not quite as close to some of these other guys. But he has been able to push Cameron Rich pretty well, and I think that's because those guys are together in Johnny Thomas Racing. Cameron Rich to the lead. Help from Hanshaw, and Rich stays up top. He's the first driver I've seen to stay in the middle lane. Also want to call out Michael Goodman in 9th, Richard Hines in 11th. Some really good runs from some guys who aren't always up at the front of the field. Yeah, I've been waiting for this. Cameron Rich is doing what I think should have been done by everybody so far today. He is staying in that middle lane. Got a teammate behind him. And, he knows that the inside lane is going to get those runs in the corner, but he's able to pull so much gap down the straightaway that he's not really being challenged for the lead.
So Johnny Eckert threw in the official points there for the top 10. Peter, the last one, claiming the 10th and final point there. Johnny Thomas, of course, picking up the stage win. Kirschwell, Steinmiller, Lytle, Myhand, Indelicato, Dylan Thomas, Isabella, and Beers all picking up those halfway points.
Yep. And only a couple of those guys were even on the bubble. I believe Steinmiller and Tate Lytle. So, James Heater does pick up a point. He gets the 1 stage point. So, Heater, another one of those guys on the bubble, but Heater likely needs to come up here and win this race if he wants to make that happen. Earlier during the caution, I said Damian Leininger got back in the lead lap. That was an incorrect statement. Robert Hill got the lucky dog. Leininger still a lap down, but he is among this pack of cars. You'll probably see him flash by at the top of the screen. He's about the 6th car in line on the bottom. So there is a little bit of presence of lapped traffic in amongst the leaders here. It's Rich and Visabella battle side by side for the lead. I did see Rich kind of lose the lead to some extent, but the outside lane stacked up a little bit. But he's since gotten it back, and the advantage that I see with what Cameron Rich did was he did not lose the being the first car in the line. And I think that's crucial. You got to be the first car in line, because it doesn't seem like pulling out as a whole is very effective. That just creates a run from the people behind you. So you really want to be in the spot that Isabella and Rich are, with a kind of a teammate behind you that will give you the push coming down to the end. They won't try to poke out and ruin the race for both of you. With that, it seems like Cameron Rich unwilling to go to the bottom and lose that spot to his teammate. Vinzabella not trying to move to the top, trying to keep Boston Beers behind him, and that has kind of settled out the front of the field for now.
David, if I kind of understood every scenario that Johnny took us through, is that some outside guys could have a shot if one of these wild card guys like Lutz or Steinmiller were to get in, right? Or a couple guys pointed their way in. Well, with Steinmiller running and getting those playoff points, and these other guys running back in the pack here at the moment, that might open the door for somebody else to sneak in too.
Lutz is probably, Lutz is going to have to fall back on that win, I think, now at this point. So what Lutz needs to hope for is that Scott Crump doesn't pass him in points. I don't think Crump can pass him in points, but Lutz needs to hope that, and Steinmiller should get into the top 10, so it's going to be Mogard. Whether Jared Mogard passes Lutz in points here. That could be a kicker that could get Lutz knocked out of the regular season. That would be quite a development. There's a long way to go in this race, though. A lot of potential crashes. Odds are we have not seen the final scenario that, lines up the playoff picture. Still got a lot of guys kind of through the mid-pack taking it easy. We saw Ethan Burrell up fighting for the lead early in the race. He has since fallen back to 26th, but has no damage on that 37 car. He has just relaxed. We haven't seen Seth Rawls up front at all. Rawls absolutely needs to get up front at some point. Mogard has a bunch of damage on the nose of that machine, but he's getting shoved by Joe Francis right now. When we talk about all this, but Dylan Thomas and Damian Leininger have jumped to the top and have created that third lane in the front pack. That might make things a little bit hairy, but actually no. They fall to the back. And it seems like everyone's once again getting ready for that imminent pit stop.
About 10 laps or so, you would say?
They pitted on lap 30. I think, almost exactly, like 31. So yeah, 54 is 23. Yeah, they will be pitting probably lap 65. But whoever pits first is probably going to have an advantage. That'll probably draw the whole field down pit road. So that first group to choose to come to pit, those are going to be the most important ones. But we might not have a pit stop the way they're racing. Worrell changes lanes and almost doors Dylan Thomas. The inside lane is about to fall back drastically. The outside lane is where all the energy is now.
3 wide here for 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
And this could be a wreck right here. And Delicato to the top. Dylan Thomas pushing him. Rich and Hanshaw to the middle now. Isabella and Beers have been able to hold on the bottom. It seems like that bottom lane is able to hold it off if those middle lanes are fighting with each other and kind of side drafting. It's not really a side draft in the Xfinity car. It's more just feeling the car in front of you and getting pulled forward. But there is some kind of an effect when you're close to other cars that kind of sucks you forward. Isabella is now clear for the lead. Crump is the one who's gained the most from this. He had shot up to 3rd car on the inside line, up into the top 5. Dylan Thomas now cuts to the inside. He leaves Indelicato out to dry up top. Yeah, there's 2 Michael Waltrip cars up here in the top 6. Isabella and Rich have pretty much been fighting since that lap 40 hit and Johnny Thomas lost the lead. It has been rather stable up front. I think that's the power of working, with teammates, with Beers and Isabella working together, Hanshaw and Rich working together. With that, the only guys up here kind of on the bubble, Dylan Thomas, somewhat on the bubble. He'll need a win and some luck. And Scott Crump. Pretty much everyone else that we've kind of identified as the guy who might be able to jump into the playoffs has chosen the play it safe strategy. A couple guys going a lap down. That's actually Bayuk and Lutz going a lap down up top right here. What a miserable night for a couple of guys who are definitely, if not in Lutz's case, championship favorite. In Bayuk's case, an outside shot at the championship, and on a team that has a championship favorite. They go a lap down.
Bayuk in, Lutz still kind of questionable. We're going to have to see how all this plays out. So maybe not a very good break there for Ryan Lutz.
Well, if Bayuk could get passed by Steinmiller, and that would kick him all the way out. Yeah, Bayuk has it over 12th, but if Bayuk finishes 11th in points and 2 guys who win get into the top 10, Bayuk's out. Bayuk and Lutz are hoping for this thing to devolve into a bit of a wreck fest and an attrition race to where they can kind of get back to it. As it stands, this thing's starting to get a little bit hectic up front. Worrell going for 3 wide around Dylan Thomas. That's probably not going to work, but Deshaun Dura now sucking up to the back bumper of Chris Worrell. In this front group, another guy who's entered the fray for the first time, Garen Turner, in this top group. That's in the gold Kodak-looking machine there. Richard Hines also right here in the first group. He's been strong today. $22 to go. I'm thinking, Thomas and Trupiano got together. Can Trupiano merge without causing a wreck? Yes, he keeps it on the apron. A marvelous job by Trupiano to save that car and prevent the caution. Don't know if I would have done that if I was Trupiano. He lost so much time. That really broke up the field.
Yeah, it did. We're getting ready for about somewhere in the ballpark of 3 to 5 laps of another pit stop.
It's the replay there on the top. You saw Dylan Thomas come down. He and Trupiano just making that slight bit of contact. Yeah, check up top. Thomas dodged it. Cost him that spot. There's a really big pack of cars now that is formed. Kind of from about 15th on back there, about 17th. They just have a huge group. And it's just very spread out now. Isabella and Rich are leading, and Isabella and Rich are going to be the ones low on fuel and kind of dictating when this first group comes into pit road. Down the back straightaway, a ton of cars all in line here, and I genuinely don't know if they'll be able to make that ground up. With this pit stops coming soon, it might really spread this field out to the point that we only have a small group battling for the win. Rich and Isabella have tossed the lead back and forth, maybe once or every couple of laps. That's really going to get the the lead change counter in this race up very high. Looks like Trupiano went ahead and pitted the 7 car, and he's just now coming out of pit road. So that just did not work out for Andy Trupiano. He's going to wind up a lap down and hoping for everyone to pit and then a caution to come out. 3 wide. Morel, Dylan Thomas, Zishan Dura to the top of the track, trying to get those Johnny Thomas Racing Toyotas. That'll just clear Beers and move Crump up next to Rich. And now Beers now jumps in front of Cameron Rich, so Austin Beers has had enough of the teamwork with Vincent Isabella. He wants to lead this race and give it to Austin Beers at the line. Ooh, Rich almost spins out.
These guys are getting very racy here.
Just bounced off of Isabella.
18 to go. Isabella down below.
3 wide for the lead. Chris Worrell up top, help from Dylan Thomas, then Beers in the middle. Vincent Isabella on the bottom.
3 by 3, 2 wide.
Yep. Big amount of racing here, and all those guys who are kind of single file off the back of this field all of a sudden look like geniuses. If this field ends up wrecking, they might not. Beers kind of wiggles around. Vincent Isabella is the one with the run. He'll clear up to the lead here. Scott Crump is helping Isabella. Amongst all this mess, Damian Leininger is a lap down, trying to get his lap back the old-fashioned way. Or at least be in the position for a lucky dog. Now Beers gets the run. He'll jump in front of Isabella. Clear down, and now we're back where we were, except now Beers is in front of Isabella. And look at, with all that jostling, you would have thought that it would, not have helped this front group, but what it did is it kind of sped them up. They have rocketed away from that second pack. Hanshaw goes up, blocks Dylan Thomas, comes back to the middle. Worrell, Thomas, and Leininger side by side, 3 wide. It shakes out to 2 wide, and they have still just blown away from Johnny Thomas, who's leading this second pack. Johnny is about 4 seconds back now. They have lost a full 2 seconds just in the last lap.
Pit stops could be coming at any moment.
I think there's some more extra damage on Johnny Thomas's car. I don't think that this was calculated. I'm looking at that. Yeah, Johnny's starting to lose ground. He's got a lot of rear end damage. I'm not sure where that came from at all. He's had that. He's had that for a while. That came in the big wreck. So yeah, I'm just not sure what's up with Johnny Thomas there. And anyway, that second pack is falling back. Beers still retains the lead. Pit stop's coming soon.
Scott Crump doing all he can right now. He's one of those cars on the bubble, sitting right there with a win. Sitting in the 6th position right now, just riding with these guys, trying to figure out who can put himself in the playoffs.
Johnny's got damage from that first wreck, but a couple laps ago, he just all of a sudden lost 2.5 tenths or 2.5 seconds to the guys in front of him. Just, it seemed like almost inexplicable. Anyway, Dylan Thomas challenging for the lead up front. Very strange happening. Oh, Zishan Dura's in the wall. No! Here comes the back pack. All of a sudden, their gains are made up. Nico Delicato just passed 4 cars on the apron. Dura, chance to win likely gone. It's just a 6-car pack at the front of the field. Dylan Thomas, Cameron Rich, Austin Beers, Vincent Isabella, Chris Worrell, and Garen Turner. They're going to single out Thomas and Worrell, Beers. They're all going to leave Rich to dry. Scott Crump is, I think, caught up to the second pack enough. He'll be in the draft of it. Let's see what happened there. Isabella and Thomas both blink out, and then Hanshaw gets hit by Crump, and it puts Dura in the wall. Oh, Rich is sideways. Cameron Rich almost spun through the tri-oval this time by. You don't usually get that sideways here at Daytona. Marvelous save by Cameron Rich, and it looks kind of like an 8-car battle for the win at this point.
Well, we should have pits. We keep saying it. Pit stop should be coming at some point.
No, they absolutely have to. They can't make it from here. But look at this big pack of cars that just got left behind by this front group. Very crazy. Because there's way more cars in that back pack than there are up here. Yeah, Damian Leininger is leading this top group. He is not a lead lap car. Leininger has been racing with this group the entire time. He is not on the lead lap. Worrell blocks. Worrell's going to go to the lead here. This front group, even no matter how much they've been racing, it has not mattered. They have pulled away from that second group, and that was just inexplicable. I don't know where that came from. Ty McIntosh is now leading the second group with Francis and Trupiano in tow. Yep. Yeah, poor Dura. He had been in position. My pick had been in position to make it happen, and he just gets shoved into the wall by no fault of his own there. Leininger is now back in the lead lap. Damian Leininger has driven through this pack and has put himself on the back end of the lead lap. Now he is praying for a caution to be able to pit with the lead lap cars. As it stands, that has not happened. And Isabella just shoves Leininger to the lead, and he'll follow suit side by side for second between Worrell and Crump. That's just a shame, though, for Damian Leininger. I mean, whatever issue that he had on the back straightaway on lap 3 cost him a lap. He didn't get the lucky dog on the one caution we've had so far. Now he's driven up the lead of the race, but it doesn't matter. Yep, here we go. Second pack is caught up, and Ty McIntosh continues to lead it. It's just a question of... Leininger got sideways there, almost wrecked the front pack. Now Crump ducks into the bottom. Worrell takes the lead, and he'll lap Leininger once again. 10 laps to go, and there's a pit stop in between now and the finish of this race. Leininger up to the top, almost hit the wall.
Getting a pit stop here, inside 10 to go. If it goes green, could make it really interesting.
I wonder if some of those guys in that second pack are trying to save fuel and make it to the end. That's like 5-10 laps that you're going to have to save. I just don't see it. I mean, maybe a guy like Nick Massey has been sitting there saving fuel the whole time, trying to, make it to the end no matter what, but I can't see it. They pitted on lap 31, 32. That's like 40 laps. I mean, we're coming up on 30 right now. I'm thinking 35, 36 laps. The most you can go. And anyone who's been leading the pack is going to be like at 31, 32, 33. We'll see. Absolutely depends on whether or not these guys have been calculating, strategizing, ensuring they've got enough fuel to go the whole way. And, if they do, that odds are the winner is going to come from that second pack. Scott Crump led last time at the line. They've since shuffled to Dylan Thomas out front. Austin Beers going after him. But I kind of get the feeling that this race here is irrelevant. It might be irrelevant anyway. Rich almost wrecks Beers down the front straightaway. That looked like they hooked bumpers a little bit. That'll clear Thomas for the lead, Crump for second, Turner for third.
The amount of times that there has almost been a wreck tonight, and somehow these guys bring it back together and not take each other out has been pretty amazing.
They have done a remarkable job of keeping these cars on track. Now, Crump is blinking. He's sideways. That might be the wreck right there. They have to check up. That will bring the second pack back up to this group. Scott Crump got on the apron, and he was blinking out when it happened. Now, Rich challenging Thomas for the lead. He'll get it. Oh, my goodness. A lot happened right there. Thomas and Crump both kind of blinking in and out of the server a little bit. This just reminds me of one of them old races at Daytona where, like, the field spread out. There's only a couple of cars running to the end, and it was all about fuel. And I got some old-fashioned vibes about this race. This has been a really entertaining race.
I mean, it is throwback, so.
Aaron Turner up here in second. That 20 car coming out of nowhere trying to steal one for Morgan McClure. Austin Beers and Vincent Isabella getting back together, though. A couple of team cars trying to get back to the front. Question now is, can they make it on fuel? I mean, we're getting to the point where they need to come down pit road and have enough laps to get back up to speed and try to sort this mess out. Jared Mogard coming down pit road. So Beers to the lead, Isabella to second, Rich third, Thomas third, Rich fourth, Garen Turner fifth. And it's Worrell and Delicato Crump, and then also Damian Leininger is in this front pack. Ty McIntosh leads a group that is 7 seconds behind. He, Richard Hines, Nick Massey, as Isabella's pitting. Isabella and Beers are pitting. Probably Dylan Thomas as well. They couldn't make it. Oh, crash! Isabella and Beers around! That's going to be the caution, and there goes Crump into the outside wall. No caution so far. Rich around on the inside. Somehow we don't get a caution, and Gary Turner's the only one to make it through unscathed. Well,
this is crazy.
I'm messaging the admin there, Johnny Eckert, just to see if there was a reason for that one. That looked like a big crash, but it was all on the apron. Yeah, it was all on the apron. So Garen Turner's the leader, and Delicato second. Crump has spun, and he's now getting going, coming off pit road. McIntosh is now third, and then Massey is fourth. Robert Hill is fifth. Michael Goodman is sixth, and now Delicato's coming down pit road. McIntosh is coming. Hines is coming. Can any of these guys make it on fuel?
Real quick, David, to your point, Johnny said in the chat that he actually had to throw the first caution too. iRacing did not throw it. He had to manually throw it. So,
yeah, very, very odd happenings here. Some iRacing-isms, as it were, as the field streams around Isabella. And now there's a challenge for the lead. Massey's going to go around Garen Turner. And Nick Massey is now the leader of this race. Guy who has not had any speed at the front of this field all day long. He'll lead. Robert Hill is second. Michael Goodman is third. And I'm guessing these guys are going to the end.
They have to at this point.
Pit. Hill's going to pit. Goodman second. Turner third. Francis fourth. Whitley fifth. Campbell sixth. Cooper Johnson is seventh. Nick Massey is going for it, and this could be a drastically horrible decision if Massey runs out of fuel and winds up, deep in the field, because he could miss the cutoff. Michael Goodman second. Goody has nothing to lose. Goody well down in the order in the points. Might as well try to steal a win on fuel here.
Yeah, but if Massey pulls this off, it looks like a genius move.
Oh yeah, and that's very typical of Nick Massey too, making those genius moves. So here we go, coming off turn 4. Does anybody cut down? No, coming to 2 to go. Oh, Garen Turner's might be out. Whitley goes around him. Campbell with Whitley. Oh, Turner's still going. Does Michael Goodman have a chance to make a move on Massey? Boy, Carlos, if we got to talk to Goody, that sure would be something, huh? Canceled. Yep, Johnny Thomas down pit road. He didn't have enough fuel. Who's going to have enough fuel? Of the guys who have pitted, Austin Beers, Ty McIntosh, they are the front couple. It's all Nick Massey. Whitley and Campbell have drafted up to the back of Goodman. Who's got enough? Coming down to the white flag lap. Does anybody have enough fuel to get to the line? And Goodman's going to have to pit. It's down to Massey, Whitley, and Campbell.
David, I would have bet $1 million that we would have had more than one caution here tonight.
I would have too. Matt Whitley to the outside of Massey. Here comes Gerald Campbell. He'll try to get there as well. Now Campbell tucks in behind Massey. Cooper Johnson's going to go for the win. 4 cars to settle it out. None of them have been at the front all day long. Did they save enough fuel? Nick Massey still holds the lead. Nobody went with Whitley. And I think Whitley and Campbell both need to win. Here they come through 3 and 4. Thomas on the bottom slow. And it's going to be all Nick Massey if he's got enough fuel to make it to the line. Here comes Campbell to the top. He'll try to make a move. It's going to be a drag race. Mark Whitley's going to have the run. It's going to be Massey at the line.
Unbelievable.
A 3-wide photo finish amongst a fuel-saving race. Cooper Johnson runs out coming to the line. And we'll get all 3 of those guys that participated in that one in the booth. Joe Francis finishes 5th. Aaron Turner is going to make it in 6th. Oh, my goodness.
Maybe. We'll see here. Yeah, it's Clark.
Yeah,
yep,
I got it.
Clark 8th.
Yep. Martinez 7th. Clark 8th. Trey Holmes 9th. Harrison Talon 10th. A fuel strategy race to determine it with a huge wreck coming to pit road from the leaders that wasn't called a caution. Hank Steinmiller is 12th. I'm guessing that Hank Steinmiller pointed his way into the chase, which means in all likelihood that Ryan Lutz and oh man, who's the other one who almost won a race there? Because Crump definitely isn't in. Matthew Bayuk's almost certainly out. Unbelievable. Gosh, who won our other race? Steinmiller, Lutz. Steinmiller, Lutz. Mogard. No, Mogard was one of the ones you pitted. Yeah, Mogard's 27th, so I don't know how close was Mogard to Lutz. Mogard was 12 points behind Lutz. He finished 11 spots behind him. I think that Mogard and Lutz are the 2 race winners who are making it in. So now it's going to be all about whether or not, like, Matthew Weeks got enough points. He was 15th. He probably did. Steinmiller got enough points. He's probably pointed his way in. And so then who's getting kicked out? Rawls, probably. Rawls ended up way down the order.
Whitley,
Yeah, Rawls was 16th.
Whitley's good.
Whitley's good. With a big 3rd place finish. Oh man, we're gonna need Johnny Thomas to wind that one up. So, Nick Massey wins. Gerald Campbell 2nd. Mark Whitley 3rd, and you'll see the margin of victory there. 1/10 of a second to Campbell. 1.5 tenths of a second to Whitley. Crazy finish. All right, let's bring him up and talk to him, and then we'll get the playoff order. All right, Mark Whitley, 3rd place finisher, and Mark, you're the 3rd place finisher by a margin that can only be described as minuscule. Take us through that last little run to the finish.
Yeah, me and my spotter, we were talking about saving gas that whole last run because we figured you could make it just a little bit past halfway. And so we came in topped off there. That's probably what gave us that little bit extra gas. And I looked, we coming to the line, we were crossing the line for the white flag, and I think I had 7/10 of a gallon. I'm like, that should be enough. So I just threw caution to the wind, floored it, and I thought the 48, I thought he would had kept pedaling it. So I probably should have tried to ride behind him a little bit more, and kind of got strung out there by myself. And I tried to get a run off the last corner, and it worked. This was Talladega. I probably would have had enough time to get the pass done, but a little bit short. But it was a very, very interesting race. It was very cerebral. Like it seemed like up front there was guys battling, but then out the back we had guys. We were all trying to like outsmart each other, and it worked out in our favor. Top 3. It's been a while since I've had a top 3 in here. I feel like I've been running up front every week and just never can finish a race. So. Wish you could have got that first win, but 3rd place is pretty good, especially when we were coming in here kind of on the border of being in the playoffs, being out. So 3rd place is a pretty strong run for us.
Yeah, Mark, that was a really, you're right. It was a very smart race, and we were kind of caught up in the leaders a little bit, but we were kept mentioning, well, they probably still have to pit. Turns out you guys who had topped off didn't, and what a smart race that was. So with that, I think you're going to be locked into the playoffs. Do you have any plans going forward, here as we, approach the start of the chase?
Really, my mentality is not going to be any different. It's just going to be pretty much trying to make sure if I can get to the end of the race. I've been good at finishing the races. It's just my problem's been getting to the race with the car in one piece, being caught up in other people's messes or making mistakes. So the goal is going to be the same. Just try to make it to the end of the race and go for a win. Playoffs, I mean, this is when it really matters, when it really gets down to be serious. So, haven't won a race yet, but I would love to win a couple in the playoffs and try to go for a championship. Didn't have high hopes going to the season being a rookie in here, but at this point it's like, well, we're in this position, we can try to go win a championship. Let's go do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you got any shout outs for us here before we send you off?
Oh yeah, first foremost, Brantley Harpoon Design does awesome work. He's done all my paint schemes for the last year or so. This awesome throwback to 2010 Jeff Gordon at the Coke 600. He did another throwback. I had another throwback race last Saturday. He did the Texas car from that race for me, and that was just as beautiful. But it does awesome work. Check him out, harpoondesign.com. He can do you some custom work if you want it, or he's got over, I think he told me almost 1,500 ones he's already done on trade and paint. If you want to go check him out on there. And then my other sponsor, Shop Angry Duck. They're your one-stop shop for all your custom racewear and apparel. Hats, t-shirts, hoodies, pretty much anything you can think of apparel-wise. They can make something custom for you with no order limits. Check them out at shopangryduck.com. Now, final shout out, my family. They're always tuning in to these broadcaster races, and it's always great to have their support behind me. Whenever, close finish tonight, always getting encouragement, and when we win, they're there to, celebrate with me. So always appreciate them tuning in. And I guess another big shout out to my spotter, John. He was guiding me through pretty much the whole race and keeping me cool and trying to make sure I saved enough gas, and appreciated that. And can't wait to come out here and try to run for a championship now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, congratulations on a good run today, Mark, and definitely one in the time in which you needed one. So, we'll be excited to see what you can do there in the chase. So, congratulations, man.
Thanks, guys.
All right, let's go grab second place finisher Gerald Campbell. Gerald, did everything you could coming to the line, man, but just came up about 1/10 of a second too short. Take us through that last run with the fuel saving, and tell us how much you had left at the end.
Well, coming to the last lap, coming across the line, the 77 made a move on the 48. And I contemplated going up to the 77, but I was so close on fuel. In my mind, and I'm pretty sure this would have happened, if I went up and pushed the 77 around the 44, I don't think I would have had enough fuel to make it around. So I literally had to stay on the bottom and help the 44 stay out front. I ran out essentially right at the flag stand. I think that probably might have also not helped me beat the 44, even though I had the draft there. He made a move that kind of caused a little bit of a bobble and bump and lost a little bit of my momentum, but also stumbling across the line kind of ensured the victory for the 48. But yeah, I was going to go with the 77. It was a split second, and then I immediately went back to fuel strategy and was like, no, I can't go to the high side just yet. I won't make it on fuel. My only strategy to go to the high side was going to be coming out of 4, was going to be the only chance I had with enough fuel to make any kind of run. It is the craziest strategy race ever, where you had to play this game where you couldn't be too far ahead because you would be using too much fuel, but you couldn't get stuck behind some of the slower cars and too far in the back that were slowing you up, because to get around them, to get caught back up, you use too much fuel. So it's just this constant battle of just making sure, and it was constantly changing, where you had to be on track to save enough fuel, be far enough ahead, save enough fuel, far enough ahead. And it was that constant thing going all the way up to the front. And I felt like I was in the right position. It just, man, I just stumbled. I guess, I don't know, maybe should have lost a couple pounds before getting in the car. I think would have made it.
Oh, man. Well, I know, I don't think it would have necessarily mattered for you, but, with the playoffs coming up, are you going to be, still coming, even though I don't think you're going to make it in?
No,
the points are pretty close, but you were kind of far back.
Even if I won, I don't think I would have made it in. But that doesn't stop me from wanting to win, man. It's been a long time since I've won. It's been a long time since I've even been in a top 3 to talk to you guys. Since they've gone back to the B car, it's been it's just been horrible. It's been it's been very, very, very bad luck and very bad driving on my end, but also just not. I was fully mindset for at the beginning of the series with the old Cup car there, the COT, full into that when we finally last race of the COT, I was in the top 10 in points, and then we went to this, and I dropped back like a stone. I just some of these guys have time where they can, these beast cars, they have so many laps and so many practices, and you run so many leagues in these B cars that I don't have time. I got a kid, I got a business to run. I don't have time to run these B cars. And the great thing about the COT was that it was an even playing field, kind of. No one really had a lot of experience. There was no getting any experience in the COT. As soon as we went back to these B cars, those guys that have the dedicated time to do this, and that's all for them. I mean, obviously, I'm not gonna sit and rag on them for spending the time doing something that they enjoy, but definitely doesn't help me. And anything that doesn't help me, I'm not gonna like it. I don't know about you, David, but if it's not gonna help me, I'm not gonna like the situation. But yeah, overall,
absolutely.
I'm just happy to be able to talk to you guys again. I'm irrelevant for at least this race here.
Yep, and you definitely had a shot at it there coming to the line. So give us some shout outs here before we send you off.
Yeah, thank you to Aggressive Eagle, all my teammates there. Joe, who I don't know how he finished 5th. He was so far out of fuel. I don't know how he even got up there. Zishan came into it with a lot of hype, and unfortunately for him, the strategy didn't work out for him either. Other than that, good job to Nick for somehow being one of the 4 cars that made it across the finish line with at least a little bit of fuel, and coming out the victor out of all 4 of us. So, but other than that, thank you guys for broadcasting. After I got my feet wet into broadcasting, I know how difficult it is, and at least you guys have a really, really, really strong league to be able to do it in. It makes it a lot easier, sir. But other than that, hopefully I could get to talk to you guys again and steal a couple wins from those Chase guys, make them a little pissed off at me.
Yeah, that's a good attitude to have, man. Well, congratulations, and hopefully you're able to go ahead and steal one of them races in the Chase, Gerald.
Yeah, I'll try to make sure I throw a couple water bottles out before I go for a fuel run next time.
Alrighty.
Thank you, guys.
Oh, I sent him too early. He said thank you. Now we finally get to talk to race winner Nick Massey. And Nick, how on earth did you to make it last to the end there? It seemed like it looks like you're still out of fuel sitting on the front straightaway. My man, you ran the perfect race.
Yeah, how about that, huh? First, I haven't really been in contention for any wins all season. Get it at Daytona, the last race before the playoffs. But yeah, that was wild, huh? I mean, I didn't know if I was gonna make it. I didn't know if Gerald was gonna make it. Mark was gonna. I didn't know what was going on. I stopped looking at fuel numbers. I think on the white flag, I was like, well, at this point, if I run out, I run out.
Wow.
And we limped it around there, but yeah, it was just trying to save fuel whenever you can. Just lifting. Everybody was doing it. We were crawling around here, I feel like, but yeah, barely made it. I don't think we could have. I mean, we ran out not too far past the line going into turn 1, so.
Ooh. Yeah, man, and were you thinking about that the whole time there? Was that kind of your plan to ride back and try to save fuel up until the end? And when it the seas kind of parted for you with them all pitting and the wreck and that kind of everything happening all at once, did it kind of finally start to click that you might have an opportunity to win the race?
Yeah, I think it. I mean, first of all, just thanks to Chris Wright, props to Chris Wright, and he was spotting for me tonight. And there's no way I'd probably win this thing without him, because he was feeding me a lot of information and giving me what I needed to know. And it was his idea actually to come down, top off, and everything like that. So without that, there's no way we'd be sitting here with the win. But yeah, I didn't know, because I was kind of back there running 20th to 30th all day, and there was like that lead pack that pulled away, and I didn't know if those top 10 cars, 12 cars, whatever it was, could make it. I felt like they were going really hard, so I didn't think they could. And I saw them all pull off, and then a couple guys in my pack started pulling off because they couldn't make it. And I was like, man, we got a legitimate shot at this thing. And Just had to beat Gerald and Mark there to the line, which it was close, man. I think the extra 50 feet around the outside, I think without that, I think Gerald might have got it. But yeah, definitely wild for sure. Hopefully it was exciting for you guys. I mean, we don't get to talk strategy that much at plate tracks, so I think it was pretty unique for sure.
Well, my original thought, and kind of the thought we were kind of going into it with, was everybody's got a pit. So, you know, when it started getting down to it and people started not pulling off the pit, we just kind of realized, well, I guess they can make it. Some people can make it. Who's going to be able to make it? And it turned out to be you, man. So, you know, it is nice because you've had the dominant car a couple of times this year and haven't been able to get the win. So it's got to be nice to back into a win a little bit. But, you know, like I always say, it's always good to get one to break your way at some point because so often they don't break your way.
Yeah, hopefully we can. This is a swing of momentum here a little bit, and we can carry it going into the playoffs. But one thing I will say is, well, what we learned that first run there, I don't know, we ran about 20 or 30 green. I was kind of riding, like I said, 20th to 30th, and the fuel numbers were showing about 44, 45. So that kind of gave Chris the idea up on the spotter stand that when that caution flew just past halfway there, or before halfway, like, hey, I think if we top off, we might have a shot at making this thing. So that's what we did.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, you know, with Darlington's the first race in the chase, you are absolutely locked in. What's kind of your expectation going in there? I know you were one of the better drivers at Darlington last year in the chase. So, you know, what's your outlook going forward?
To be honest, I haven't really looked at the schedule for the playoffs. I haven't gotten that far ahead of myself, but because I wasn't really before last week at Indy when we put a good run together, I wasn't too confident. You know, there's still a chance I get eliminated from the playoffs. So, but I'm feeling pretty good about Darlington. You know, as long as we don't get caught up in any trouble, put down a good Q lap because I think track position is going to be pretty important there. I think we'll be in pretty good shape and hopefully keep it all out of the wall there. Keep the right side on the thing.
What's going to be important, I think, for you is qualifying well because you have not necessarily been our best qualifier of late, I think. So. You know, I definitely understand that. I always qualify horrible. So, but with that, Nick, any shout outs you want to give before you go off and celebrate your win?
Yeah, just like I said, shout out to Chris right up there on the spotter stand. Teammates, Josh was running tonight, kind of like a one-off. Kwame, he's got 3 wins. He's definitely locked into the playoffs.
He's the regular season champion.
Oh yeah, so congrats to him. And then just thanks to you guys too for. Doing the broadcast, and shout out to my internet for keeping it together tonight too, for the most part, except the drop. Usually we have some spikes every now and then, but I think it held it together pretty good. So.
Yep. And one class question: how much fuel did you have right at the line? You said like 1.1.
Maybe you could fill like a shot glass or something of fuel, maybe, if that.
All right, man. Well, congratulations on the win. A fuel win, but a win nonetheless for Nick Massey.
Thanks, guys.
So with that, we do have the playoffs. They have been determined. Final chase drivers are the locked-in drivers. Kwame Scott, Ethan Burrell, Cameron Rich, race winner Nick Massey, and Nick Indelicato. Tate Lytle makes it. He was pretty secure after getting those halfway points. Oh, should we? All right, let's bring up Johnny Thomas too. Johnny Thomas, the winner of the halfway point in tonight's race, also managed to get bumped and caught into the big wreck, and maybe also ran out of fuel. So not the best of nights, but you did show some strength early in the race, Johnny.
Yeah, I hate these fuel mileage plate racing. I was running in the front, and about, I don't know, 20, 25 to go, I realized I was going to be way short. So I figured, let's just hang out in the tail end of that lead pack. Hopefully they wreck, and then I can save more. But I had a fast car. Me and Josh got in a little bit of contact there while I was leading. He gave me a shot in the middle of the turn, sent me sideways. I tried saving it, and I tried staying off them guys. But once you get pushed on the apron there at that speed, you get pushed right back up. So it was fun. Man, it sucks though. I would like to win one of these races. I put enough effort into outside of the track. I'd like to get one inside the racetrack, but it was fun tonight. Wild points battle.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, Johnny, let's take us through the chase. We mentioned the locked in guys: Kwame, Burrell, Rich, Massey, and Delicato and Lytle. Mark Whitley's in, and so then let's hear the last group, because the whole night we talked about 8 guys on the cusp of making it. Who made it into the playoffs, Johnny?
Yeah, so Bayuk didn't have too good of a finish, a result. He fell way back, but fortunately for him, he's the 8th spot. So he'll make it in on points. Seth Rawls will make it in on points. So Seth had 404 total points, and 10th place had 403. So it got really, really tight. There was a tiebreaker for 10th, and it absolutely stinks for the guy that's going home. Hank and Matthew Weeks tied with 403 total points. The tiebreaker is determined. It's in the rule book, determined by best finish. After best finish is top 5s and then amount of top 10s. Hank had a win. Weeks did not, and Hank will advance straight up, and he'll be in the top 10 in points. The 2 wild card guys is going to be Ryan Lutz and Jared Mogard with wins, and unfortunately, Matthew Weeks is going home.
Wow.
Yeah. It's
so
tough.
Steinmiller jumps into the top 10. That knocks Weeks out, and then by 1 point over Rawls was 1 point to the good. At the end, Bayuk was 10 points to the good. So those guys finish up in the top 10. Bayuk goes home. Rawls needed to finish exactly where he did in 16th, 1 point behind Weeks. If he gets passed at any point by anybody, he would have gone home. So
yeah,
just a crazy scenario.
On top of that, it's a fuel mileage race, and with 2 laps to go, this guy's coming down pit road. So them guys, they have no clue where they're going to finish.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they're looking back on what maybe they could have done to pick up one more spot, but I wouldn't fret too much on this race, because we have a long season. We got 15 races, so they could have gained a couple more points in those 14 others.
Yep. So thank you, Johnny, and man, what an absolutely insane finish to the regular season, and I think this thing is kind of wrapped up perfectly the way you wanted it to, and now we'll get these 12 guys to fight it out for the championship.
Yeah, it's an awesome field. These guys are so competitive, and I'm really pumped to see this chase field. And then not only chase field, we also, we cut the points. Everybody gets a reset outside the chase, and everybody's balanced at 13th spot. So that gets your money back at least to $70. But it's fun. Hope to see you guys soon.
All right. Thank you, Johnny.
Thanks.
So I do have a little quick tidbit of analysis before we throw it back. Ryan Lutz has 85 bonus points. Hank Steinmiller had 71 bonus points. Matthew Weeks had 17 bonus points. So that's the difference right there in
I think we might have lost David there for a second.
Oh, I'm back.
All right, there he is.
Hank.
You there, David?
Alrighty. My internet has died. All right. Am I
All
back?
right.
All right, whatever.
All right, that's gonna do it here for the Chairgatin 200. David was getting into the breakdown of the points there, but Johnny gave us the big rundown. So that's gonna wrap up the regular season. We'll take a week or so off here for the holidays, and we'll get ready to come back with our playoffs here for the 2022 season. Once again, we want to thank Carlos Acosta and 3 Wide TV for bringing us the production, and for Johnny Thomas, David Westergreen, I'm Dom Santina signing off. Have a good night, everyone. Thanks for watching.